hospitals. You can move that to Florida. What's your thoughts on the whole foundation?
Yeah, I am. I'd like to, start. It's tough because of this transition. We were going to get it going in Tennessee, and everything happens in the spring when you have a little bit more time, but in the transition you don't have time. And so it's been crazy. I would like to start at my family and do it and try to work it out with Alabama and the hospitals here. However we can get that done, we will. It's a great foundation. We're getting close to getting it endowed, and that's what we really want to do. I think we're about $60,000 or $70,000 away from it being endowed forever, which is a pretty neat deal. And those guys that I coached, Ronnie, Carnell, all those guys, we'd have 20 to 25 guys come for a certain gala, a dinner that they would come to each year, and that was a great fundraiser for us. We raised $120,000 2 years in a row, so it was pretty neat, and I'd love to do it here and get it out, and it's something that's pretty special to me and my family. But other than that, her legacy is that Children's Hospital decided to do this foundation, and now we're helping other children, and that's pretty neat. Because if you've ever been at Children's Hospital and you see what they do, it's neat to know that money and those monies are being used to help other families.
When you were talking about the way, going back to running backs, when you talked about the way you guys split the carries with Cadillac and Ronnie, how do you get guys to buy into not wanting to go 30 times and not wanting to be, you hear running backs wanting to get the rhythm and all that kind of stuff. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, you get in, you kind of, it was a feel for me a little bit sometimes, how they were doing. A lot of times, Cornell and Ronnie, they had a great feel. They'd take each other out. When it got down to their last 2 years, I really didn't substitution unless it was for play. I think Jimbo would do a great job of finding ways that guys can do it, whether they're catching or running the ball. You put those guys in the game, and that's what I think he'll do, and I'll be able to do as we get to know these guys a little bit more. At least for me, what I think that they can do. You've got to be selfless. Hard to do in this day and age, but you got to have, and you got to understand about having that humble pie and having humility, and it's about winning. This is one of the greatest sports in the United States of America, in the world, because it's one of the only sports where you got 11 people at one time, where you're on offense and 11, but you put that together, and you got to be on the same page, and it can't be about me. If you're a running back here and you get 7 carries in one game, but you play 23 special teams and you do your job and you're helping this team win, then that's your role right now. Your role next year might be 22 carries. It might be 15 carries. The next game might be 12 carries and you might be the guy. If you can't accept that, then you need to move on. That's my philosophy, okay? And when I recruit a running back, he'll know that. You're going to get your opportunity. But you got to be selfless for you to be successful and for you to be able to have a winning program.
Coach, similar to with the Osceola, you got a lot of depth from the running back position on this year's team. Have you been involved where there's that many guys who have all proven at one time or another that they can at least contribute?
I have. There was one spring where I lined up with Kenny Irons, Brandon Jacobs, Ronnie Brown, Carnell Williams, Brad Lester, and I think there was one more. There was 2 first-rounders, a second-rounder, a third-rounder, the MVP, and so one transferred, and that's going to happen sometimes. But Kenny waited his turn. Ronnie had to wait his turn. You look at Ronnie's timetable. It took Carnell to get hurt. There was always that question, who was better and this and that, but, I mean, you flip a coin. One got drafted earlier, and they said I wasn't very smart because the one that got drafted earlier, he wasn't the starter, but the one that didn't get drafted earlier was the Rookie of the Year in the NFL, so maybe we did make the right decision. I don't know, you flip a coin with those guys.
Coach Derek Red with the Palm Beach Post, you were saying earlier that you'd always wondered what it would be like to recruit in South Florida for one of them. Without getting too much specifics, in the short time you've been here, how has that been?
phenomenal.
What are the differences that you see? Just being that you now.
When I walk into a school with a Florida State hat on,
Mhm.
it means something to a kid that's from the state of Florida. You got a chance to be in the ball game right out the gate. When you're at Auburn, you're at Tennessee, you're looking up, and you're fighting, and you're clawing. Now, you're still clawing here because you're fighting two other pretty good programs in this state. But I like the opportunity at being maybe in the top 3, top 2. Sometimes you're the lead dog, and then you got to hold on. I'll take my chances there. I like that fight.
Coach, obviously recruiting is a huge priority for you, and you've done very well over the years. What do you think it is that makes you so successful recruiting? I
think being in the same area for 19 years now. You know, Jimbo talks about it. He talks about area. It's our area first, guys. And, you know, I got guys now that are head football coaches that I grew up with when I was a GA, you know, and I was getting to know some of these guys. Now they're head coaches, you know, and so that's a pretty neat deal. I grew up with them. And some of the older guys now that have moved on in their 80s or they're retiring,